And you guys all good, Tamara?
We are waiting for Connect. It is connected.
Okay, great. Before we go ahead and we adopt the agenda, I would like to see whether you all would like to go into closed session and review the grants that we did yesterday. Closed session, if we go into that, it's due to that Clause D, which is the economic development incentives for grants. Would anybody care to revisit what we did yesterday? I have a number 730 on that board there. That is the amount of money, and we have a month and a half left of this budget cycle. That is the amount of money that we did not spend. So over half of the money that has come in for this year, we did not spend. So how does everybody feel about that? Is there any interest or not?
I feel like we made some good decisions yesterday.
Okay.
I think we spent $250,000. I think that's pretty good.
Mandy, I think, what did you say, it was 145?
Yeah, but we gave out
Yesterday's amount. Yesterday.
170 something.
Yeah, so I think you guys did make some really good
And then we had
decisions.
done 60 or 70 before that, so you got that together, that's
Okay.
putting some pretty good money back in and still leaving us some savings too, so
So you're confident that the public would see us not spending half of the money? That's actually 2 years of regular TDA operating that we're holding reserve when we had
Well,
however many pages of people. Actually, one of them, I think, wanted just a barrel to put flowers in. But if you guys are good with that, I'll be good with it too.
well, we got September.
I was going to say, normally, we do the grant cycle after ski season, we know what the revenue is going to be, but this year, we're going to be doing it
You
in
have that.
September.
We don't need to worry about what's coming in. We have that currently in the bank.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, we're going to spend more in September of this money.
Yeah, that is true. In September, you won't have been through your big revenue period yet, so, but this will be a good cushion that when you do your grant rounds for 21, 22.
Well, and I just want to point out, the 380 is in reserve, so in my opinion, that part doesn't count. We're setting that aside for a hard time, so.
All right, great. Does anybody have any other things that they would like to add to the agenda? All right, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So move.
Second.
All right. Going on to the consideration of minutes, Kate and I have not had a chance to get together to go over my notes for the March 16th. That was the workshop retreat, guys. Hopefully Kate and I will be able to do that in the near future. So I'm holding on that.
The
Does
one thing
anybody?
that we did talk about on that was that you wanted what Candace had talked about for the high country added in there, and that is in there now.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any changes to the April 14th minutes?
So we're tabling March 16th for now?
Yeah, until Kate and I get a chance to get together and go over it. No correction. I have one on the item B, adoption of agenda. If we could go ahead and just add to that sentence there, for more research and until meeting with Kate, I'd appreciate that. And under E, old business, websites, I think we gave a shout out to Armando as being the main designer and developer for the TDA website. I'd like to put that in there. I see that he was complimented and that Pineapple did not have any involvement. And thanks again, Armando.
Thank you.
Looks great. All right, moving on to the financial report. Steve, would you help us out?
I will try. I guess I'm the only one So the innkeepers in March collected for, at rentals of a little over $1.4 million. It was $1,411,927 in rentals. That translated to a collected tax of $89,664. A substantial increase year to year, same month, year to year, of 534%. It's sadly to say the third worst month we've had this year, so.
So far.
Anyway, yeah, still a great amount of tax collected and a lot of business done on Town Beach Mountain as far as short-term rentals. So again, that was $89,665,000 of tax collected. That's $1,047,225 this year in tax collected. Current budget spent out was $375,612. And at the bottom of this budget report page, you see where I have proposed to put your 380. Actually, that adds up to 390, because that will be adjusted. The 380,000 for reserves will go to the capital management trust accounts. I actually today transferred the $66,707 from the First Community account to the NC Capital Management Trust account. And so that was a one-third portion monies that went into that account. And unless y'all have any questions on the month of March and the expenditures for April, I'll move on to the budget amendment.
Any questions, anyone?
Good so far.
I think next month, you want me to separate these bank balances out with encumbered amounts?
That would be.
Yeah, that would be good.
For the encumbered amounts, reducing your bank balances, is what I'm trying to say.
I know.
Okay, I'll do that for next month.
As long as it's not double counted, if we can see that if we've spent it, it's going to be in our expenses.
Right.
And then if we've noted that we want to encumber it, and then if you had another kind of thing on the bottom, future plan. Also, we also need something that maybe would say proposed for next year's. Okay, so kind of 4 different categories, and if we keep that on one page, not on this page, Steve, but on Kate's page that she does.
You confused me there.
You know Kate's page that she has of all of the grants, not grants, but all of
just
the
the
projects.
invoices? Or,
Yeah, you know that page, Kate, that you had that says, yeah, I'll show you.
okay.
I think we were looking at this thing.
We were.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she had written,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Yeah.
just send, I'll email that over to you.
Okay.
And if we could put like on the top
This
spent,
one.
yeah, and then
That's
the
it.
next one underneath it in encumbered, and
and I think
then,
he got one of these yesterday.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll send
I
it
got
to
it.
you electronically, so we can just add some rows at the bottom.
okay, perfect. Continue, Steve?
So on the budget amendment, what I did was, I took those line items that are overspent, and one of them, it's not going to really matter, but one of them, the town will be paying back the TDA's half on the supplies, office supplies. The other ones were just overspent by about that much, so it just pulls, in Part A expenditures, those amounts just reestablish the budget at about 83% spent for the year. The number 5 capital outlay, Kate and I talked about this a little bit, and this is really sort of dependent on what you did yesterday and maybe what you continue to do today. That the 254,000. If you feel like at the end of the meeting, I don't know if you want to make, I don't know where you are on that. So, you know, if you want to table this to the end of the meeting, and perhaps you need to increase that 254,000.
Yeah, I believe they are gonna need to do that because, we've basically encumbered another $145,000 yesterday.
Well, and so that's roughly 400,000 in that.
Yeah.
100, yeah, roughly 400,000. I mean, we could, you know, you could pass this, we could go ahead and do this budget amendment for the full 600, where is that number? 600, how much are you over budget right now, or over collected?
671?
Yeah, you could do the budget amendment for a total 671, and it doesn't really matter what account you're in. What we're aiming for is your total expenditures for the year do not surpass the 1.47, with the $1,047,000
All
that
right.
you have right now.
That sounds good.
We do a
That
motion
sounds
for that?
safe.
So if you want to do a motion for that right now, I can correct this, and you can sign a corrected one
Okay,
after
perfect.
the meetings.
Anybody want to do a motion? Does anybody understand what Steve just said?
Yeah, I just want to make sure. So, but we don't have to make a motion on the correction though, do we?
You're making a motion to
Well,
amend the budget for the
You're
total.
changing this sheet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So you're not passing this sheet anymore.
Okay,
You're telling
all right.
me to do a budget amendment for, that your total budget is $1,047,000. $1,047,000.
So then his motion needs to be to amend the budget to add $671,612.
Yeah, that would work.
That,
okay.
okay.
Any second?
Second.
612. Hold on.
All right, Steve, so before I walk out, do you want me to visit you? Or do you,
Later on?
yeah, or do you want me to do it tomorrow?
Tomorrow's fine.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
And y'all go ahead and vote on that.
Okay, any yays? Aye,
Yeah.
everybody?
Bye.
Unanimous. Thank you. All right, moving on to old business. Kate, do you want to go into the pineapple recaps?
Before we leave the financial report, do we need to to review and approve the expenses and the
You
invoices?
don't have to approve invoices. Kate just lists them there for our
Okay.
review. If you all have any questions on them,
Yeah, is there
let's go
anything on
ahead
there
and
that
jump in there.
you want to know exactly what we?
Does anybody have any questions on them?
The Angler magazine is a new one that we've started working with. They're on fishing, but they also do outdoor stuff. Advent Media Group is a new name on here, but it's who is doing the marketing for Good Housekeeping and Women's Day. So, not new magazines to us, just a new vehicle to get the ads paid for.
All right?
What was the Miller Industry broken windows?
Yeah, our windows were dual pane and they had gas in between, and the
So
seal broke and
replace
they-
the seal and the seals.
yeah, the winter's pretty hard on them, but the ones on the side of the building, people kept running into the side of the building, so. They replaced the rollout windows on the side and then the huge plate glass piece in the vestibule.
Kate, that wasn't fog in the window, that really was snow. Don't you?
And, well, it looked like we always had snow. We kept telling people that. That's how we got in this situation. Every time they call, we go, yeah, it's snowing again. So,
All right, moving on to old
Thank you.
business.
okay, and the pineapple recap, you've just got in your packet the presentation that they gave us, and then we've got their budget included in there. Really, this is pretty much the same things. The new piece that we would be adding would be two things. One would be another hosted media tour, and then a campaign for, not Instagram, what is it, Pinterest. Yeah, Pinterest. We've got Instagram and we've got Facebook going now, and they'd be doing a Pinterest campaign for us as well. So the target audiences, we also added in Tampa, Jacksonville. We had Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, Atlanta, Greenville, Spartanburg. And so we're going a little further south. But other than that, I think this is pretty much, it's what we had done in the past, just more of it and more targeted. We did talk a bit about, and I don't know if they actually talked about this when they were giving the presentation, but we did talk to them a little bit about maybe bumping up the demographic that we're looking at. We don't want to bump it too high because we don't have luxury properties and then people would be disappointed. But to bump it up a little bit higher because we're now raising our rates up here on the mountain. You know, we get people that would be more satisfied. Maybe we get fewer people, but we get people who are spending a little bit more.
Any questions, comments?
Does our amended budget reflect this number?
Yeah, our amended budget, their line actually went down on their advertising to reflect what they're saying that they would do. It went up a little bit on their fees and down a little bit on their advertising.
So of a $700,000 budget, you're proposing to spend, is it 146 there?
Yeah, 146 is the fees and retainers, and then the marketing that they'll do for us.
All right, I'm just going on record that I think that is excessive, especially with what we had occur on our mountain last year. I think the proposal that they gave us was a smorgasbord approach where they threw in everything but the kitchen sink and didn't really take into account a more targeted approach. But that's just my professional opinion. If you all have any questions or want to make any comments, please feel free.
Could we ask Armando to speak to
Yeah.
that, please?
Well, because I was talking to Kate about that, Sandy, and I was looking what they proposed, and I thought it was not really everything but the kitchen sink, like you mean. I think it was, in the conversations that I've had with them as well, pretty focused on not doing anything that is going to be during the winter seasons when we have a lot of people, and pretty focused on doing things when we don't have a lot of people, and also going after like a little bit more of the Florida Target kind of a thing, even though we do get some of them. So the other thing that I thought that they did and that they did very well is that they're doing two things. Keeping everything mostly digital, which gives us the opportunity that if we see, hey, we're getting a lot of people, we're able to react and pull back. It's not like the kind of buy where they're buying magazines and radios and they're making commitments ahead of time. So that gives you guys a bunch of flexibility in order to say, hey, we are getting a lot of people again this year, So I thought that was pretty smart on their part. And again, I mean, I think that in terms of what they're doing and what they're proposing, they're putting some money into Facebook and Instagram and all that. And at some point, when you first look at that, you think, oh, well, we're getting a lot of visitors now, so we might not need to spend that money. But the issue with those social medias is that that's kind of what drives everybody nowadays, and what ends up happening is if we don't have often and current content, people walk away from us. And we start losing followers and losing likes, and then the algorithm thinks these people are irrelevant, so it doesn't even show up on people's feeds. So there's a thinking behind putting that money there that I think makes sense in their part. That's just my opinion on their end. I don't think it was like just a spend for spending's sakes. I think that the things that they pursued, in my opinion, made sense.
Great, well, thank you for your opinion. Any other questions or comments?
Do you, Armando, do you see any room to trim it?
We could trim it. I mean, there are some things, again, that the Google ad spend is something that we could trim maybe a little bit. In the AdWorks right now, we have, let me see, we have a January Google Ads that potentially we could trim there if we see that we're getting a really good season, and hold that. But again, because of this digital nature, I think it's something that you guys can respond to on the spot. I don't know if it's something that in terms of you guys approving things, if it's set on stone or not, I don't know that portion of it. But from the portion of reaching out to Pineapple and say, wait a minute, don't spend this money, that's something you can do on the spot, make that like an audible call if you wanted to.
Question, and when we reduced or when we pulled back on the advertising, did their retainer reduce anything at all, or did they give us any make goods?
They still provided us the same services, even if they weren't putting in an ad buy. So the actual ad buys are not that labor intensive. So, you know, I feel like we're getting a good value, and I guess Armando could speak to that too. We're getting a good value from them. We're getting, you know, basically a team of 6 people who have propelled you into orbit with what they've helped us do. I mean, you were paying $35,000 for Craig. And so now you're getting a team of 6 people, and, you know, for twice that. So I feel like you're getting a lot of service from them.
At some point last year, I thought they had agreed to a lower fee when the pandemic started. So last year, I think they did lower it in the beginning from the onset. I'm not 100% sure because I just started, but I remember when I first started that conversation came up with them about, hey.
Yeah, well, I think the fee that we had last year was a lower fee.
Okay.
I think we did back, that was gonna be my question. I
Yeah.
think we did back off last year, but
Yeah.
this fee is 20% higher
Yeah,
than last year.
Right.
yeah.
We had the conversation to back off, and it didn't happen. The dollar amount for the retainer came in at the same amount, but I don't know what happened after the COVID situation happened. So I didn't know whether it ever got adjusted again. So,
Would you
No.
know?
No, it did not. It did not.
So it actually, we had discussed it, but it was left in the budget at the same amount. So this is 20% higher than a regular year.
Yeah, well, but part of that
But
is,
they've only been here 2 years. so-
yeah, and part of that is that we're gonna have a hosted tour, and so the $5,000 that they're spending on people for that is added on to their fee.
Do we need a hosted tour?
I would appreciate a hosted tour, just because otherwise that means we're out of the office with all these people the whole time. So, and that's hard that just leaves us Elena to run the visitor center for a couple days. Those are usually multiple day activities.
And what is the plan for that tour?
We're thinking that we'll bring them up in the fall and hopefully before we lose the ability to take them up on the scenic chairlift so we can add in the resort. But the hiking, birding, fishing kind of aspect is what we're looking for. Yeah, just outdoors, entertainment, family stuff.
And is that kind of playing off the angler ad too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you all like to do?
I know you have.
I'm not working with anyone else who's gone up 20% in 1 year, but, you know.
Hey,
I'm a
you got
little-
I'd
$730,000.
say 20% seems like quite a jump.
It is. I mean, like I said yesterday, I might go 10%, but I'm gonna have a hard time or staying the same at where we are.
Mandy, do you have an opinion?
I know everything's going up in cost. I don't know if that's.
Anybody like to make a motion?
Well, does a compromise seem reasonable, a 15% increase?
Make a motion, Calder.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we go up 15% over.
Okay, what part are y'all wanting to go up 15%? The ad spend or are we talking about the retainer fees?
Well, I think that should include their retainer.
Yeah,
The retainer fees, okay.
I do think they work pretty hard. And I think they give us good numbers, but where they fail.
well, why don't we ask them, say, if we could only go up 15%, what part would you not be able to provide?
Well, I mean, y'all could decide what you don't want them to do.
Well,
If you don't want them to do a hosted media tour, that's easy right there.
Well,
Andy, have you-
I'd like to ask them what they feel like they would need to not provide.
Kate, would you get with them and talk with them, share our discussions, and see what they would recommend in terms of streamlining?
10 to 15%.
In other words, if
And then,
Okay,
can you
so if
come
you're
back
going
with
up
us?
15%, then you're cutting 5%. Because what
Correct.
y'all, okay,
Yeah,
to cut 5%. Okay,
something between 5 and 10.
okay,
And then would you report back to us at the next meeting?
yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
do that.
Do you want to do some cherry picking on that, Sandy?
Nope. Kate, would you go on for the radio update?
Oh, okay, yeah, the radio equipment is in the town of Beech Mountain, and it is in the current Public Works building. So we have it all, it's intact and should be ready when we get ready to move into the new Public Works building, should be ready to put up. That's still the third week in June, right?
Now, we'll have the radio stuff up before then. I have moved it to the new building,
Okay,
but then it's gonna be some setup, and then they will have to come to do the
Yeah.
training.
okay. So within the month of June, we should be able to have this thing up and running.
Okay, great.
I can't
And-
remember, are we using in-house labor to do all the technical end of this, or do we have a vendor that we're trying to use, or?
Well, Public Works will be installing and Ryder, be installing the hardware, the ground plane, and we've got to hire an electrician, and then the company does the install and the programming of the radio and tuning and all that.
Oh, right.
Have we included any advertising for that? I mean, how are we going to promote this radio station?
Yeah.
We're going to put it on the TV station.
Yeah, we are putting it on the TV station, we're putting it on the websites, and Bob and I have not gotten together on this. We have.
Aren't there signs, Bob?
Talking about putting a sign
There'll
up.
be signs down in Banner Elk and coming up the mountain to tune to 1620 on your AM dial for Beach Mountain information.
So we do have a way someplace in Banner Elk or outside.
It's a secret.
Yeah, but it's not quite in stone yet, so.
And then, of course, we, as the Musketeer, I mean, there's a bunch of different, the Mountaineer.
Oh, I thought you
There's
said
a-
Mouseketeer.
I did. I
That's a good idea. Can
All right.
I deviate for one more second while I'm thinking about it?
Sure.
The sign I want at the bottom of the mountain that we got nowhere with, would it be worth calling the state of North Carolina and asking them how large a sign they are willing to put up for us?
We did, and they turned us down.
Nothing? We got a little dinky sign that says Tennessee that way and nothing for
Well, it
beach.
says Beach Mountain. But we asked for a ski sign, Kate was involved in that, and we got turned down.
Yeah. Yep.
Unreal.
Okay, any other questions on radio? All right, birthday recap, I will jump in there. Full disclosure, we went over budget. Can't remember whether the budget was 7,000 or 7,500.
But it was a huge success.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
Good. All right,
I've had several,
Okay, but y'all need to
People.
vote to pay these though. In full disclosure, I've already paid all these invoices. But it was $7,500 that I was authorized to spend, and you spent $9,920.91. So if y'all would, just authorize me to
By about
spend.
30% on that one too.
Yeah, so just
Right.
authorize me to spend up to $9,920.91, and we'll be okay.
I so move.
I second.
It was worth it. It was great.
all right, great. Draft budget,
Okay. All right, and then this is what, actually, this is the version that Steve has prepared for us with his changes. And it's a $700,100 budget. Based on the assumption that you'll probably bring in about that this next year. You know, it will be a really good year, but it won't be as good as the year that you just had. So I've added more details in the line, contract advertising, which is what we give Pineapple to spend, and then other advertising, which is what we do ourselves. That includes the photography, the videos, the app, websites, all those things that you do that have a component in them of marketing or advertising. That's all in here.
Have you added in for some additional help?
Yeah, that is actually down in transfer to town salaries in 9101. We still have not been able to get anybody. We hired a wonderful guy, perfect for the job. For a week, he came and did his training, and the night before he was getting ready to start, he contacted me and told me he got a full-time job in Chattanooga with benefits. So we tried to catch him before he went off the mountain and make him stay, but he was wily. So
Back to the drawing board.
yeah, we're back to the drawing board. It is being advertised right now, but we really, really could use somebody. Elena is doing a nice job at the reception desk, but we need somebody to help her out. So, and the other piece with that, and thanks to Bob for this, you used to see more money up in contract labor, which is for just an extra person that comes in here and there, and that's what Elena got paid out of. And now Elena is moved into the town salaries line, and she is going to be actually paid through the town, and the new person will be paid through the town. So they actually get a regular paycheck with all of their taxes and everything taken out, and that is handled by the town. So that is many, many thanks to Bob and to Steve and Kelsey and Rebecca and Tamara for adding our people in on that. It makes it much easier.
So the proposed 110, 118 is going to handle that.
Yes,
Okay.
110, 118 will handle that.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, that, we do
Just makes
appreciate that. It has come up through 6 town managers since I've been here, and Bob is the one who went, hey, that makes
It
sense.
just makes sense.
Yeah, so it definitely makes it much easier.
Any other questions?
This 138 in TDA other advertising,
Yes, that is the maps, brochures, 26 banners time, well, I put in 26 banners times 2, it's actually 33 banners times 2.
and part of that is pineapple and this other.
No.
No, that's all outside of pineapple.
That's what we do.
Where does pineapple come?
Pineapple is right above where
At
you see
75?
contract advertising. Yes, and 75 is over, they're not asking for quite that much, they're asking for like 70,500 or something like that. I've just put in 75 so you have a cushion if something happens and you want them to ramp up some marketing.
And where does their other services come in?
Okay, their other services is down on line 5704, where it says public relations and marketing.
Okay, so that's 75 and that 72 is
Yes.
what comes into their budget.
Mhm. And then the admin fee, and this is something that y'all might want to discuss. I figured the admin fee at 3% of everything that you get, just because it seems to me like it doesn't really matter how much it is. You still have to have Kelsey and Rebecca and Steve do the administration on it, on the taxes coming in and the bank accounts and writing checks for us and all that kind of thing. But actually the legislation says that it is 3% up to 500,000 and then just 1% after that. But if you wanted to do a little extra, like just a little gift to the town, you can just vote to do the whole thing at 3%. And you certainly have the money to do it. I think it would be a good faith
Which
gesture.
looks like a difference of 4,000.
Yeah, so it's not a huge amount of money, but it is a good gesture of faith. And the town does a really wonderful job for you.
And we can rub it in their face if you That's a joke. That's politics.
Wait, he's making a note there.
That's politics.
Oh, man.
I risked my questions.
The one other thing, up at the very top, where we have the revenues coming in, this year you still got it broken out, what you were expecting. But this coming year, it's only one line because we have merged the Watauga and the Avery collection all into one. Finally, Steve and Rebecca and I realized there was absolutely none of the three of us needed that broken out for any reason. And it was a lot of effort that they were going through on the tax office end. So
Are they going to redo
Don't pay
So-
to those
they
separate
need to
counties,
redo the
though?
No,
occupancy.
the
form.
county doesn't get anything.
Oh, so you say it would just.
So is that do away with what was called the Region W or what?
There was region,
District.
yeah, you had to separate out all of that, and so this is just, it's all one sum.
That's easy for us to do.
Do we have to do any,
It'll make it easier.
do we
for
have to do
those of
anything
you
with the state since we had that Region W in the
No,
documentation?
everything that, whenever you see occupancy tax reports, we're always lumped under Watauga County. Avery just kind of gives us up for that purpose anyway.
Okay.
So, I mean, it always shows, even the tax that was collected in Avery, and that was why they were kind of asking me, was there a reason I needed it? Well, nobody breaks it out on the state level. They just give us all to Watauga County, even though part of it was collected in Avery. So, that, it just simplifies things. It's one of those things, you've just been doing it that way for a long time, and then suddenly you go, oh, you know.
But that doesn't affect how they allocate the sales tax back to the town, does it?
No,
Is
uh-uh.
that a different one?
Yeah.
That goes to the state. It's on a separate payment.
Yeah.
So they
No,
were
but I
in
meant,
before?
no, but I meant as far as what comes back here,
No.
it doesn't, okay.
Kate, does this include the 120 for the restroom, sledding hill?
No,
And also the 30 that we moved in
This does
for?
not have any carry forward on it. So this is just the clean budget starting July 1. We're on the things that you're talking about, or you were talking about yesterday, we could put in is up at the top, there's a line 80-399XXXX. Right now it says 17-18 revenue because we carried forward that into the following year. What you would do is we would just put 2021 revenue there, and then we could carry forward money that you've already promised that you'll spend. We can carry it forward there.
That was this 8399 carry forward line? Is that right?
Yeah, 83.
399?
XXX, yeah.
Okay. And the,
So that's where.
and what Steve is
it goes.
figuring out that's encumbered is what'll go there?
Yeah, Steve's figuring out what's gonna not get spent. If there's money that is not gonna get spent in June, or well, May and June, then you can put it there and you can say that you've already decided what you're spending it on and add it to your next budget. So that's what he's trying to do for us.
Here.
Okay, well, the grants could come out of two different areas because, normally capital outlays where your grants come out of. Steve has moved the visitor center expansion out of capital outlay and he's made a separate line for us so we know that we've got $150,000 set aside that we want to spend on that. And then right above that is line 7400, 8690, 7400. It says capital outlay. There's 81,000 in there. And we do some grants. Some of the money comes out of other advertising, the other advertising line. That's where I take things like if somebody's going to do a sign, this go round, when they submit me their request for their funds, I will prepare a request to Kelsey to actually enter the check that will say that is 86905701, so they know to take it out of other advertising because that's a 2/3 expense. We've determined that signs are advertising. So it's kind of two places. In years past, when you first started doing grants, you always just did grants out of the capital line. But you're wanting to be a little more specific now, and so we can take grants out of. One year we did marketing grants and we did capital grants. We did that, I think, 2 years in a row. And we took the marketing grants out of the other advertising line, and then we took the capital grants out of the capital outlay line. So grants are kind of,
And you're just keeping a record separately?
yes,
of
keeping the records separately. Mhm. Yeah. So like I've got a round one spreadsheet right now.
Basically, we're still splitting, but we're doing that internally,
We're doing it
not by the way
internally.
they imply.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's simpler for people because they might not know is what I'm going to ask them for. Is that a marketing grant? Is what I'm going to ask them for? They don't know. So we kind of merged it together a couple years ago where it's just one grant application. Then we figure out what it's supposed to be.
Any other questions on the proposed budget? Kate, these items that are listed under other marketing and, for example, the kiosks and things like that. So if they approve this proposed budget, does that mean that that project doesn't come before us for approval?
No. You haven't really, y'all got to talk about kiosks, but that was 2 years ago. So that's just things that we will bring up throughout the year that you can decide yes or no you want to do it.
And if
But now these
they,
other things, you do have, you know, if you tell me you don't want to do the app, which we've been doing for 5 years, you know, tell me if you don't want to do some of these things. But, you know, the things that you've been continuing to do, if you don't want to do them, you know, we can,
But a lot of those come out of TDA, other advertising, right?
yes, they do.
All right, a stupid accounting question, this leftover money now, is that just gonna show up as a bank balance?
Okay, the leftover money now won't show in here. Where it'll show on the budget page will be down in here. And he's gonna be putting some of it, well, some of it's already in the Truist Bank tourism related, so that's where some of it will show. Most of it will show up in the Truist Bank marketing,
Okay,
So-
because it's unallocated,
because
right?
it's unallocated, yeah.
now, we had discussed before, instead of Kate and Steve figuring out whether it is a 2/3 or a 1/3 expenditure, that the board would do that on a case-by-case
Yeah.
grant. Is that something that you all are interested in keeping to the board, or is that something that you all wish Kate to continue doing?
It all needs to come back to the board.
Well, on the grants, but yeah, I mean, in day-to-day operations, you know, Steve and I code to the lines that things need to be coded to. But
Oh, yeah,
on the
day-to-day,
grants,
oh,
like
yeah.
Yesterday on the grants, we kind of did that when we did the grant process.
Yeah, no, day-to-day operational stuff is still your bailiwick, but
All right. Any
We-
other question about the proposed budget?
Do you wish to review the way they divvied it up, 2/3, 1/3? I mean, I know you're thinking we can be creative about that.
well, I don't think because they put it in one bank account or the other necessarily commits it for the whole year. That's our decision, isn't it?
Yep. It is your decision.
I mean, it's probably helpful that you do what you can in the very beginning when it shows up in these lines. Just do a vague thing as close as you can
Yeah.
to whether it's marketing or
honestly,
tourism.
it's always approximate.
You know, and then the board can come back and switch where it goes before we allocate it.
What Steve and what we were trying to do was give you guys two places to look to see where you had, for example, quite easily could see that you had $730,000 left, and what was considered 2/3 and 1/3. So it would be easier for you when you were making decisions to understand that where you could take the money from. So that's why we were trying to break down the sheets for you in those
So
different
some of these
categories.
grants are gonna be paid out of one checkbook and the other part are gonna be paid out of another
One
checkbook.
fund,
Trying to,
Yeah.
good luck.
It actually
But
is
it's adding
exactly
up,
that.
it's
We
adding
have
up.
two different sets of checks for
So you can,
capital, yeah. Yeah. But they do a really good job. I mean, that goes to Kelsey and Steve, and they really do a very fine job of helping us keep it all, you know, organized and
somewhat.
in the right pots, yeah.
All right, do you guys feel confident enough you understand the budget that you would like to approve the proposed budget, or do you need more time?
Well, don't we need to wait till we hear from Pineapple?
We could go ahead and, I think that we could approve it based on what we get back from Pineapple, but we can wait.
Well, you can have this in your budget line, but not give it to Pineapple. You know, just because it's in your budget line doesn't mean they can pull it from you, you know, and you can use it for something else.
I have another question. Is it bad to have excess money from this year going into next year?
No,
Under
every year we've done that. It's actually wonderful to have money that you don't have to specify it's going to something that
I
you
think
can-
that that's a matter of opinion. I think $730,000 is quite excessive. And I think there's a rule of thumb, at least when I worked in the government, that you try to go ahead and take care of your budget. I mean, a lot of people the last month or whatever were trying to close out different accounts. And I'm not saying bring it down to a $0 amount or whatever, but I think that this is excessive, but
Well, we don't expect the town to spend all the money they've got in right now, so I don't think the town expects us to spend all the money we've got in either. The auditor certainly doesn't.
when there's a need and the need has been expressed and
But is there a need that we have not covered, that you all determined was valid and we just said, no, we're not going to pay for it? I think you looked at everything and said, these are the valid expenditures, we feel very comfortable with this, and we can help everybody. And that's what you did. We've just been through 2 grant rounds. We've got 41 grants on the one side and 17 on the other. We've got 58 grants in total that we now have to manage, that now have to come in. We get their receipts or their requests. We make sure they did the job. It goes through Kelsey, it goes through Steve. It's a huge amount of work. And y'all did a wonderful job. You did your due diligence with the requests that were presented to you. The town has also requested things. And we did a wonderful job there of funding what they asked for. I don't know what's left out there. You know,
Well, I mean, if you ask the grant applicants, of course, they'd all like to get more, but
yeah.
I really think, I mean, we know that the September grant cycle is going to be part of next year, but I think the public perception is going to be that, gosh, they just did grants and we're doing them again in September or October. I think that's going to be a perception, is that they're getting another grant possibility, quote, this year.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
This season anyway.
yeah.
What would we like to do on the proposed budget? We're going to go ahead and not wait until we hear back from Kate and what Pineapple suggests.
Well, I'm showing my stupidity here, but do we need to have those figures put in on these bank balances to approve our
No,
budget?
because that's not actually part of your budget. All you're doing is the operational line item.
That's just to help us
Just
keep track.
expenditures.
Okay.
Well, and it is a budget. It doesn't mean that's all we can do. We can amend it as needed.
Okay.
you know.
And it's the next monthly meeting where we do the final approval. Are we going to have another public hearing?
You have a public hearing in June. Yes.
Is it going to be the same day as the TDA meeting, or are we doing a
What
different
you've
day?
been doing the last 6 years, or 7, I guess, is you have been just calling it at the meeting.
Okay.
And that's what
And
Steve's planning on doing that for this one, at
But
your
we-
June meeting.
But we need to advertise that separately, right?
Yes, they'll take care of that.
Everything, all right, events. Okay, so we did go up 10,000 on events.
Mhm.
That ought to get you your,
I'm
event.
not doing events, so it's not getting me anything. So we'll go ahead and we'll move over to the High-Low Trail. Kate, could you give us a progress report on how we're doing on that?
Yeah, we're going to be reworking all of the routes a little bit, and then I'm going to be going down and meeting with the Watauga Lake people in a couple of weeks. There's actually fewer players now. Several things have been bought by the same entity, and it happens to be Eagle's Nest. So we have a few fewer things going on. The Dry Hill grocery store has been bought out. That will be Watauga Mercantile. And they did a big sale on all of those lots up behind there. But it's still an interesting, you can still go there and eat lunch. It's still going to be open to the public, so we've still got that on our trail. Villanova's still open. Watauga Lake Winery is still open as those entities. And so those are still there. It's been a little fluid. The restaurants are actually starting to open back up, so we've actually been able to contact real people and make sure that they understand what we're doing. So things are things are moving along, but we did take out the Shady Valley Loop because that was just too far. And when we get our final stuff back, we've asked a few people for information so that they write a piece on their own area. And when we get all that back, then Armando will rework all the graphics. So,
Are you still planning on having the event April or August 26th?
August 26th.
Is
At Buckeye.
is Eagle Nest going to work with us via those
I think they
entities?
will, yeah. They seem to be able to attract people very, very well, but it's in their best interest to give their people something to do. You know, and it's just a nice little thing to hand out to their guys too.
The people that they attract are different than the people we attract.
Yeah. But if you can say, here's how you get to Doe Mountain, and, you know, this is what they have here, here's how you get to the...
trail?
No, it's a
No.
completely different trail. It's actually 3 loops. You go out the back way on Beach Mountain. Ideally, you stay here. But, you know, if you're
Is
coming
it
from
a
other places and you
drive-
spend
a
money here, driving
loop?
trail. And you drive out, on the first loop takes you to Butler, and then down to the wineries, and then back around to Banner out to the winery. It's our drinking trail, but we're calling it something different. I've got it called 3 Corkscrews Trail right now, but I think I'm going to change it to Taster's Trail. And then you come back up the front side through Valley Cruces. And then the second one, you go down the back side and you go down 67 and you cut all the way to Mountain City. And you stop, you go by Doe Mountain, you go to the 421 Creamery, you go to the Neva Schoolhouse Commons and I stopped there for coffee because they weren't doing the farmer's
Are you
market when I
sitting
went.
over the packed lunch?
Yeah, well, see, that's the
Yeah.
thing, there's different places now opening back up, and that's what we've been making sure. We were a little worried for part of this last year during the pandemic. We've been driving these routes multiple times, and some of the things looked like they weren't going to be open, and so that's part of why we locked off the whole Shady Valley loop, because there's one diner and it's a little shady looking, and so there's nothing much else to do when you get out there. There's a great route to drive if you're driving your motorcycle real fast, but if you're just a car trying to get through there, it's a little. And the rule of thumb on this is you need 4 hours of something to do for every hour you had to drive. So, you know, we don't want to send them out too far into the netherworld.
So it's like day trip itineraries.
It is, day trip itineraries. And then the final one will bring you out to Hampton, and there's a Laurel Creek Trail that you can hike there, and then come on out to Roan Mountain, run up Roan Mountain, come through Elk Park, stop at the old hardware store, and then come on back up the mountain. Spend your money eating your dinner and sleeping in a bed up here.
Kate, is there any way possible that we could have either a copy of the mock-up, or I know months and months ago we had something that was a working kind of document. It might be able to help them understand a little bit more than
Yeah,
being over
hopefully
verbal.
we can have that for the next meeting. Armando has been very, very overwhelmed with work, so, you know, we just have not been able to get.
Good idea, Sandy.
And the premise started out as Beach Mountain is the beginning and the end of all
Yeah.
of these concentric circles.
It is. It is supposed to be
And what are you calling it?
high-low, the high-low trail, the mountain, and the lake is the low point. But the idea is to expand tourism possibility, and I've been conceiving this whole new brand of tourism, which I have not heard anywhere else, but I'm calling it dispersal tourism. You bring them here, you make them spend the night, and then you send them out, because we don't need them clumping in the town all day. You send them out, you bring them back, and come to eat some dinner and sleep again. So you give them some good quality, good quality accommodations, some good places to eat, and then some interesting things to go out in the community and see.
Now, is there a possibility of, at those locations, we have some signage or lodging
That is what
information?
we're doing. That's why we're talking to people, and
Okay.
working on a whole packet.
And the event calendar is kind of like what we did with the old and new residents. What we're trying to do is pull all of the commercial people and the sporting activities over on the backside with you guys and our restaurants, and so that they can understand that we're the lodging piece, we're the food piece, we want people to start here and stay here, but that all of these wonderful activities are off the mountain. And that's why this event is important, to get the two different groups together to form that symbiotic relationship. So, all right.
Now, I don't know if it would be worth it, but would, any possibility that maybe we could get the Beach Mountain Club van and take a lot of the frontline people on this, on some of these driving tours, so those frontline people?
I think that would be really cool. I could ask Chrissy and see if maybe we could pick a time when we could send people out. You don't want to do them all in one day, but you could definitely do a couple of days and do the routes. It's a really fun drive.
And hopefully the event at Buckeye is going to have all of those people, and we are inviting them, or they may be invited to have a table, show their wares. Initially, the concept was if they've got ski-doos, have a ski-doo here, and just do pretty much show and tell of you guys, all of the wonderful things that we have to offer at this mountain, and then all of the wonderful activities, fly fishing, jet boat skiing, all of that kind of stuff, and just merge the two communities together. All right, so that sounds exciting. I don't know why we still have websites on here. I think that's been done, and I don't know whether any information was shared with the residents or the public. That was one of our presents that we were doing for their birthday party. Perhaps that's why that's on there. Bob, I forgot to put you on the agenda under old business, because we know how old you are.
Can we
care to share
actually
anything?
put Bob, make section G be Bob in the future? If you're going to be doing standard reports, it'd be good to have him in his own, not just under old business.
Yeah.
I'm old, I'm new.
See, he's a mix
You can
of
be
both.
whatever you want.
Give him his,
I'm new, I watch them on.
give him his spot on the
We
monthly
talked about
agenda.
a parking lot over on Water Tank Road. And so we've got some preliminary drawings that I shared with the mayor and not all the council, but I did want to bring it to the PDA to see what you think. So this is the piece of town property that they own. This is Fred's. This is the water tanks, the bark park is right here. And so the proposal is to build about 100 spot parking lot,
That'd be great.
buffer to the parkway, 2 entrances here. Sandy mentioned that a shuttle pickup here would be a good idea for the shuttle bus, so we'll incorporate that. We added another exit in case, in a really good day, this is full. We don't want to put everybody back out on the same road, so this exit was added. It's preliminary. I need to take it to council. It's out now to get some estimates on pricing.
Okay, now the current road that goes up to the Bark Park.
It's right there.
And where's the bathroom going?
The bathroom is right here.
Oh, right next to
That's
So-
actually a really good location.
So, yeah, this is the parkway, this is the roadway. Sledding hill number 2 is here. The bathroom is here. The park and playground are here.
Okay, now I'm
Yeah.
okay.
This is the old Public Works building.
And it's gonna remain, you said.
That's gonna remain. This is the Viper tower, radio tower. This little box here is the well house that feeds the snow gun now on Sledding Hill number 2. So that's a fixed point we have to plan around. At Sandy's Appalachian's request, we added 2 electric vehicle charger
Yay.
stations.
Yeah, and that's also,
Handicap, and there's a potential to have some area down in here for like larger vehicle parking, maybe camper, bus type, that is not portrayed here. But before I go too much further, I wanted to have you look at it.
you will get church buses for sure.
I think so.
In
And
vans.
vans, yeah. Yeah.
So our plan is to get this in place, better buffer this, leave these sites open for future development. There
And is
is,
this all gravel?
no, this is trees right now.
Okay, but are.
This will be pavement,
Okay.
yeah.
And the parking that Ski Beach is presently using is somewhere right over
Yeah,
here.
it's over there.
So it's not going to impede that at all. This is that.
Hopefully they'll park here instead of in the mud pit.
Now, this
They
is,
will.
this is a very, very important part to our strategic marketing plan. Not only do you see the electronic charging stations, we also
Yeah,
now
Jeff did.
will be able to
Yeah.
say and put in all of our print materials, ample parking. Okay? One of the things that has really helped the different Blowing Rock area and Boone area is the parking along their commercial corridor. So I think
Still
this is
hasn't
a
had
really,
food.
Yeah.
I think this is a
Was
good
this going to have
move in the
meters
right.
on it? Did we hear that?
Yes, I plan to make it a revenue profit station.
Okay, so you need to,
Where's this
you just
guy
need to
going?
go up long enough to.
I was about to ask that
Which
same
one?
question. Where's his parking going? Do you know, Kate?
His is.
Jimmy's got all
back
this,
in
That's
here.
there.
Yeah,
They're welcome to park
I
here.
swear to goodness.
and they might.
yeah, so he will have a pretty good amount of.
I think the TDA has envisioned and the town agrees that this area becomes the focal point of everything that happens in the town, and we just don't have parking. You know, it's, you've got the town hall visitor center parking, you've got the gravel lot across the street, which we don't own and control, and that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't know we didn't know that.
No, we don't.
We have your parking lot, which we don't
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
So part of the problem that the town has is making improvements on private property that we don't control. So, for instance, the sledding hill, we own that piece, and then we've got long-term leases for the slope that runs out.
Have they given you a number on this?
No, it's out for, it's out for.
I know, yes. I didn't look into that.
Yeah.
But just to be aware, the town is going to come towards us, the
I would expect-
TVA.
No,
Yeah, would.
I'm coming to you, that's why I'm showing it to you.
Yeah.
I want your money to
expect
pay
you
for
would,
this.
and
And since we have $730,000 left over,
We're putting out for pricing, so I really don't want to just throw a number out there. But what we've done is we've counted up the spaces, we've gone and looked at, per space costs and everything. And you're probably in the $300,000 to $350,000 range.
Oh, look at
The
that.
building.
How much is over there?
Yeah.
I try to get you guys to spend it.
Well, if we'd spent it, then we wouldn't have it for this parking lot.
Good, sounds like a done deal, Bob.
well,
Well,
doesn't sound
I
like
may need more.
350, but
We
it
don't
sounds
have
like
manipulation to get to there.
something to be
I mean,
talking
we can
about.
see-
Well, but isn't that seed money against the meter revenue?
The meter revenue goes
Yeah,
for
good idea,
infrastructure.
Well, I like the good old 50/50.
So you remember my conversation about, we had a party, and we invited people to the party, and there's no money to do the cleanup? This meter revenue is part of that return to the town to clean
Makes
the
sense.
place
Because
up.
the maintenance.
Well,
on that,
somebody's gonna
once you
have
have
to
it,
do
yeah.
those bathrooms.
I need to pay for a lot of things that we don't have taxpayer money to do.
And there will be maintenance on that too.
Sure, that's
Oh,
what we
absolutely.
were saying, is as soon as you have asphalt, you got maintenance.
As soon as you
Yeah,
put salt down, you've got
that will be a
maintenance.
huge help.
But I think
Yeah.
another thing is, not often, actually, most of the time, we don't plan for the future. And I think keeping these areas open here for hopefully more commercial buildings in the future with a parking right next to it.
Well, we'd like to market
Or
this either
something more
through
attractive
that.
than a parking lot
Well,
anyway.
we'd like to market this through the Deep Toolbox
Mhm.
or sell it outright to someone who wants to develop it. And
It's
either
on the
way.
main corridor, that makes sense to have.
Where's the Fork Trail, oh, according to this?
Over here.
there, yeah.
So this is the current entrance to Public Works. So you've got the Greenway, Wind Park, and then down here, the Fork Trail starts and goes up. And that's, if you haven't noticed, that's under construction.
So it's all linked together nicely.
Well, and we've got the, the path that goes here and up into the Bart Park,
And the bus stop.
and the bus stop. This will not look like that. I didn't build that.
No,
That was right.
we don't want
But
$7,000
it looks so
lights.
nice.
No, it doesn't.
Well, again, another project for another time, we'll have to go to the birthday party, we need to look at parking down there too.
Cool. Well, are there any other projects, Chief
No, that's
Penny,
what,
you'd
I
like to?
promised you that as we progress with projects, I would bring them by you. So this is our preliminary. We're gonna start proceeding with cost, and engineering. We've got drainage to handle here and a bunch of other site work, but I did want the TDA to see it. And if you don't, like it, then I need to know now because I don't want to spend any more time or
Is
effort.
this terraced in any way?
It's fairly level. This is the high point, this is the low point.
Slopes down that way, yeah.
So we would hopefully not have to put in,
Put in a retention pond for all that surface?
no. What we don't want to have to do is put in storm drainage, so we
You've got one down there already.
can use sheet flow. The state allows us to use sheet flow for drainage as long as we capture it in this area. And we're currently, not in this project, we're redoing this entrance and putting in drainage here, along with the Public Works facility. So the idea is to sheet flow this as well as snow plow and put snow in certain areas and get the drainage down into this area.
When it's plowed, will there be less space available? Or is there going to be enough?
You
room
should
for
be
that?
able to plow it off into the,
Public Works had a lot to say with this, and they've laid it out where they can come in and plow it and put snow off the road, off the parking lot.
Cool.
So I just need to know if you guys are, so far, what we
We-
show you is good, and then we'll keep pressing on. And the next time you'll see a better drawing, maybe some meter ideas. We can go with smart meters, we can go with kiosks. There's pros and cons to both. We're still looking at that. And then I'll have a number to come back to you.
Can you put a meter just at the gate?
That's a kiosk
That's
system.
what that is, like at the airport where you get a ticket and-
Well, yeah, there's a number of different types, ways to do that.
versus something at each.
Well, those are little cash registers. And the kiosk does have some pros and cons, and we're looking at both. We'd like to go, obviously, with the smart meters where you can operate that from your phone. You can pay your parking with your phone remotely on an app, so it reminds you, tells you how many minutes you have left. So if you park
Wow, that's
here
cool.
and you go skiing at the resort, you're right, and
You
it
can-
tells you you're out of time, you
You
can
can-
add money
Yeah.
Right there.
right then, and so that increases it lessens our enforcement and it increases our revenue. So we're looking at either a kiosk or smart meter that is attached to your phone. That seems to be the wave of the future in resort towns, at least. We've looked at some resort towns on the beach, and that's what they're doing. So people don't have to get back or shorten their stay or their dinner or whatever, worrying about it. They can just add to it.
that's great.
And as important, that lessens our enforcement issues where, we don't have to
Don't have somebody going
have a
there
meter
just
person.
putting white stripes on your tires.
And the cool thing is so many businesses are going to be able to benefit from this. I mean, it is smack dab right where we need it for a change. So that's a good thing. So we don't need a motion, we don't need a,
No, I
But-
just want to show it to you.
does anybody hate it?
Preliminary look, see.
No, I think it's cool.
Okay, everybody's cool? All right.
Any chance of adding trees and other natural looking things to hide some of this mechanical looking stuff?
Well, the answer is yes, however, these are all natural trees,
They're already
and they don't
there,
do well, just the climate up there. And, you know, these tanks are fairly tall, they're hard to hide.
Do you have,
This building is hidden pretty well, and will continue, this landscaping would continue. It's really hard to hide this junk. And these tanks are, you know, they're probably 30 feet tall. And then we
But
have, of
Calder,
course,
we
big
can get
antenna.
a volunteer group with, under your supervision to do some murals,
All right,
okay?
Well, no,
sounds good.
that's something, you know, the town has to pay to repaint those tanks on a regular basis for maintenance. And we paint them, you know, cost effectively, which means cheap, just green. So, you know, there's an opportunity, once this place gets more developed, that we do something like other towns do with their water tanks. The water tanks aren't going to leave.
I kind of like making it go away.
Well, and
You're not gonna have any water, Cindy.
water
Well, I
away.
mean, the color, the aesthetics of it, you know?
well, the tanks have to be there,
Yeah.
or we can't flush the toilet.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly, I'm not
Blue or
saying,
pink
I'm
camo,
saying
too.
visually make it go away, not.
But, you know, maybe, you know, on the side of the tank, you know, Beach Mountain Bark Park, or whatever this
Little
area is
arrow,
called, or, you know,
Trees.
a logo.
Some deer.
But right now, we just paint them for maintenance. But that is something we really need to think about. If we're going to market this top of the mountain as the downtown of Beach Mountain, your point is well taken. Calder, we need to do something with the tanks. I don't know that we can screen it, but we can make them look different.
Nets and leaves, that would be rough out in the winter.
Gilead.
Laurel.
Good deal. All
Okay,
right.
well,
Thanks,
thank you.
chief, that's
Pretty
exciting.
cool.
And
Where was that on the agenda?
tell them the billboard's done.
That was
That's new
under,
business.
Did you tell the billboard is done and put it in the back?
I guess because I've seen it before, sorry. All right, I think we're down to new business. We already took care, I guess, of round 2 grants, except for we need to approve them, right, Kate?
Yeah, we need to.
So do I have a motion? I think the dollar amount changed to what, 145 now?
145, 757.
Do I have a motion?
I had said 137, but I had left one out yesterday.
Do we have a motion?
I motion.
Second?
Okay, Mandy and Cindy.
All right.
Aye.
Because I was taking notes for later for the minutes. Earlier, we had a motion, second by Cindy, with Calder doing it, or we...
Was it the amendment maybe, Armando?
No, I have it down before we spoke about, well, maybe it was to adopt the agenda and not to... Okay, so...
Well, you're good? Okay, no
Amend the
worries.
motion.
Did we formally adopt this budget?
Oh, wait.
No,
No,
we went
we-
ahead and we're waiting for Kate to come back from, with some suggestions from Pineapple, right, Kate?
We can adopt it if you want now, it's just what I had said.
So do you motion to adopt it?
What do you think, Cindy?
I don't care, I just thought that was part of what we were trying to do.
Then I'll make a motion that we adopt it,
Okay.
the proposed budget.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Okay.
All right, Appalachian State Proposal for Economic
So the grants,
Value.
who's second the grants?
Not
Okay.
grant.
We were on the
But,
budget.
That was the
No.
proposed budget.
Okay.
okay, so then the grants.
On the grants, Mandy.
And then
motion, I
Cindy.
second.
And you second.
And then that was unanimous, everybody
Yeah.
is okay on the grants? All right,
What did you abstain from?
I abstained the proposed budget. All right, Kate, would you like to walk us through the Appalachian State Proposal?
Okay, yeah, this is a really interesting concept from Appalachian State. John Whitehead is a professor in the Department of Economics, and one of the things that we would like to be able to do is to show that what we offer people actually has an economic value. And so his take on it is to work on a couple of our, not every trail, but work on a couple of our most popular trails and start collecting information from the people that are actually using them. He does have some graduate students who would like to work on a project like this. He's got a couple of ways to do it. One would be surveying, and then one would be collecting license plate data so that he can get an estimate of how far people are traveling to come to our trail system. And it would be focusing on people that actually show up. I can give him information on people that request maps, hiking maps, and that stop in and ask us about trails and that kind of thing. But I can't tell him who actually went to the trail and used it. Is it actually worth building all these trails? So that's where the idea came from, to have the Department of Economics at Appalachian do a project for us. And this is 2/3 money, yet again, this is money that comes out of your, what we call our advertising budget. This is money that is basically doing market research for you.
All right, Kate, and how much is it?
Okay, his total is 6,000. I'm trying to see where the total is.
730.
All right, does anybody?
How much was
have
it?
Questions?
6,730.
Kate, you
All right,
want
now,
to-
in terms of people who actually show up, do they do like the state parks and you fill out a little registration card at the trailhead, or what do you do?
Yeah, they actually encounter people at the trailheads and along the trails and walk with them a little ways and do a survey with them. So it's a really interesting idea to collect more granular information than we can do. We can tell him stuff to a point, but we can't get the real detail. So I think, yes, I would love to see this happen. I think it's actually a very reasonable way to get it done. Trying to do it through Appalachian State is much cheaper than any of the other research that I've been able to.
And usually when you buy into stuff like this, it opens up a lot of doors on other studies with sister cities, sister parks and things
Yeah,
like that.
and these people have done studies for other places. The economics department has, and they did one for us many years back.
That was through the hospitality part of the business school.
Yeah, so
This goes on during the summer months?
yes, this will go on this summer. So it'll actually take place over 3 months.
Is there a way to get them to go to more than one location than just trails? Because I feel like not everybody's a hiker. We're missing a
Well,
little bit of the club
This
set.
actually is kind of tailored to tell us, are the hiking trails of value? Is putting money into hiking trails worth it to you? So
Well, it
that's,
is kind of a recreation item
yeah.
as much
Thank you.
or more than TDA. I'm just wondering if there's a couple of other locations they could hit that would broaden their horizon. You know?
Did you get a chance to read their proposals? Because
I perused it a day or two ago, but I also slept since then.
Any chance of meeting with them before it starts to kind of brainstorm about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they would come back and meet with you. So.
All right, do we want to go ahead and table this until Kate sets up a meeting with, I guess Cindy and Calder jumping in as champions of this?
Yeah, let
Is
me
that
know.
what you guys would like to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know if we want to vote on the money today, but I think we should, in principle, say, yeah, let's continue this conversation and see if we can't jumpstart it.
His semester starts at the end of May, and if we don't
Oh.
tell him we want to do it, he's not going to be able to do
Okay.
this as his summer project.
You don't have to do it, guys. If you are interested, we need a motion.
Does this go into next year's budget if we do it? Where does this fit?
You can actually pay it out of this year's budget or next year's budget.
I make a motion that we go for it. I think we need the information.
Any second?
I'll second.
All right. Armando, you got that?
Okay, then you need a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
My only question is, can they do it in more than one location? But if they can't, it is what it is.
All right, and then Kate, you might just mention that to the professor.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will.
Maybe outside the club or something like that, where we're getting a little bit of two lifestyles.
All right, the next thing on the agenda is the visitor center expansion. I think that we kind of took care of that when we said, and we saw where it was a line item in the proposed budget. Does anybody else have any more discussion on that? All right, hearing none. Kate, can we go briefly into your marketing director's report?
Yeah, I can be very succinct. We've covered a lot of this. And basically, our revenues continue to look really, really good. March was another month. Of course, that was collection month of April. That was very strong. I would expect that your April is not going to look great when you get your collections at the end of May, but remember that April is always your worst month, and then May is always your second worst month. But we do still have some good stuff to show for where we've got some good coverage. The Destination Magazine did a good piece. Roadandtrack.com did a good piece, interestingly, that mentioned the Beach Mountain Parkway, because this was a piece about where is it fun to drive your car. Now, not everybody thinks it's fun to drive your car on the Beach Mountain Parkway, but these guys apparently did, so we got a good shout out there. And of course, the 40th birthday party was very popular. People liked having something really good and positive to talk about. And Carolina Mountain Life did a beautiful article on the quilt trail, and they also did one on the 40th birthday. And then High Country Magazine did a great retrospective. We did have 260 visitors in April. That's very small, but that's just how it is in April. We do expect that things will be picking up. And your graphs, the bottom line here, this shows you what this collection looks like compared to the last 10 years of collection for the same period. So even if there were no numbers on there, you would see that this was a very exaggerated collection month. In economic development news, Christie Village has begun their repairs. The torn down part was where the units had burned. So all that's been hauled off the mountain now. Is that all gone, Riley?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that part's done. The units next to the ones that burnt are being remediated more heavily, of course, because they were somewhat affected. And so that's being done by another contractor. And then third contractor is actually just touching up units 1 through 4. So they expect to get back online this summer, and they're coming right along. And you guys very graciously gave them some money for some outside improvements yesterday in your grant cycle. We did have a review with inspections. The party who has purchased the Cats Overlook building had some excellent plans for it. He's planning on renovating all 3 levels, and then he will be adding a second structure next year in 2022. So he is hoping to be up and running by ski season. I'm not sure that's going to be really possible, just because of how much effort it takes to get all the contractors in place and then get supplies and materials. People that are needing building supplies are having to wait 2 to 4 weeks on some things. So it may be a little more difficult than he was anticipating, just because of the times that we're living in. In the area, we do have a glamping resort going in. It is on the side of Beach Mountain, but it's not in the town. It's on the back side, well, actually over that way. It's north side of Beach Mountain, and it's up Andy Hicks Road. They're making a 22-acre glamping resort. So that is something that is definitely, and Bob and I actually had been approached by a potential glamping on the mountain. So definitely a new wave. And one thing to keep in mind, you can't collect occupancy tax on campsites, and glamping is still a campsite. So I did check on that, because if it was money to me, boy, I'd be after it. But no. So things are moving right along. The final piece is the report that, the monthly report that Pineapple gave us, just giving us basically what they're working with. They are looking really heavily for summer ideas. They're pitching our trout and fly fishing. They pitched a Parents Magazine for a low-cost family kind of place. They did a pitch for taking back your summer with biking, hiking, birding, fishing, that kind of thing. So I think they've developed some really good pitches, also including the quilt trail. So I think that's something that we've been promoting as well, and it's a really good thing to have, getting out a much broader network. We're getting quite a few requests for those quilt trail maps.
Have you asked them to integrate any of the high-low?
Yes, they will be as soon as we've got a better framework for them. Yes, they are planning on doing that. This kind of destination where you travel from is, I think, going to be a really good way to market us.
What about Buckeye's rally, the naturalist rally? Any of their programs down there? Is Pineapple helping with this? Any of that?
I don't think we have got them onto the naturalist rally. That's no, we haven't asked them to, but we can. I mean, they will promote, and they are very responsive. And we could tell them this tomorrow, and they could have our promotion up tomorrow afternoon. So as long as we can get some pictures and the logo and that kind of thing to do some digital, they can get that up whenever we need them to. So.
Are we doing hike and wine or bike and brew, any of
No,
those?
we're not doing any discounted deals. Now, if y'all feel like you want to, we can. If you see that there's a need, we can do it. But right now, we're not doing any. We're going to be redoing all the wraps for the billboard, because almost all of them were discount this, discount that, come get a deal. And now you guys are a premium property, and you don't need to do that.
I don't think so much as discounting them, but I do think that those are attractions. People like not having to think when they go on vacation.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I'd like to offer the package. It won't be a discount, but I'd like to
I
offer
mean,
the
we bought that
package.
puppy up by 25%.
Yeah.
Oh,
We can do that if you want. I'll just have to go down to the winery and get some
okay.
passes. And also their new schedule. And I think they should be able to be full capacity inside probably by the end of June, you think, Bob? They'll be able to.
Should have been a while back. The governor makes another change on May 28th.
Okay. So,
Great.
Anything from Talia about anything they're going to do new or different this summer?
they're actually going to do some larger music shows near the end of summer in August. They're going to do some shows. She doesn't have them all nailed down yet, but she had really good success when she did Trampled by Turtles and a couple others year before last. She was really on a roll, and people were people were looking for that kind of thing, and last year just kind of knocked it off the rails. But she is going to do that again. She is doing her summer music on Saturdays, which is really good. That brings a lot of people. And of course, Scenic Lift Ride and all that opens on May 29th. So we should have a much more normal summer.
Can you give them an update on Fred's activities?
Okay, Fred's is not doing the craft fair. That craft fair weekend, though, Kate Prisco and I were considering maybe trying to do craft fair down there at Buckeye, so that we could still continue a craft fair, like end of July, beginning of August, that weekend. It would be nice to still have it. I checked for what we're doing down at the Avery Chamber and what they're doing in Banner Elk, the Crafts on the Green, and there is that one weekend that is open. So
pretty successful. I thought.
Yeah, and you don't want to lose the weekend. We don't want to give it to Sugar, we don't want to give it to
But it
Gavenus.
would be
I agree.
nice to be able to say this is the Fred and Margie Fall Craft Fair. You know, we're just moving it. It grew too
Expand it.
big at Fred's, maybe we're moving it, you know. So, that would normally be, the throwback weekend, but I think we could put our event dollars into maybe the craft fair instead of the throwback music, and then just have music down there at the craft
After,
fair.
still have music.
Still have some music, yes. So I think it
So
could
he's
be,
doing the Sunday concerts, but not the
No,
craft fairs?
no,
He's not doing the Sunday concerts either.
no.
And that might provide another opportunity.
It was a lot of work, you know, all those things were a lot of work, so,
Grab the chairs.
yeah. So,
All right. Final comments, Cindy, you want to start?
I just had a little thought, because you started talking about hummingbirds. And I got to realizing that our area is one of, if not the most biodiverse
137
in
species.
plant life. You know, I mean, the Europeans came here to steal all of our plants. So my point is, have we ever tried to have any kind of botanical groups, or you were talking about whatever you call it,
A niche conference.
convention or something like that, but do you think it's worth it all pursuing a botanical society?
The mountain has a garden and herb society, and they have speakers come in all the time during the summertime, and that's the club kind of thing. But
How successful are they?
well, they, you know, club members will go to anything the club pretty much puts on. So, but
That's through the Beach Mountain Club?
Yep. But that's the kind of stuff which I call your second or third tier type of marketing. Instead of doing the Facebook and the Instagram and Pinterest, that's where I would focus or try to focus more money and more efforts. But it takes people, and it takes vision, and it takes time.
Well, that's another
It's a lot
thing
easier to
to
pay
the
people.
university. You were talking about using the university for the marketing, and I, having been a biology major, I know that they've got a big organic, whatever.
Plus you have the rescue, Lee's McRae's the only college that has the
Wildlife
PU.
rehab.
Yeah, the wildlife, I know. I'm just thinking of the floral.
We have a lot of resources here, and you know, you've got great examples of it. You've got Grandfather Mountain,
Well,
and you also
exactly.
have
Talk about a 2
Roan.
or 3 day weekend, you could stuff
Yep.
Well,
2
and
days.
Take somebody to do
well,
it.
and both counties have people through the agricultural cooperative that do programs on native plants and all that kind of thing, that we could call on them to be our resource. And those, they don't charge to do those.
Hey, can you see whether Pineapple has that kind of service, whether they would be able to put together a conference? Because I know you guys know how to do any of that.
Well, see, I'm listening to this, and we know that they have naturalists down at the rec center. We've got 2 people who are naturalists and wildlife educators. So, and they're working on a conference right now. I mean, it's a one-day thing, but this is exactly the kind of thing they could do. And, you know, they do a wonderful one over at Roan Mountain.
Exactly.
So, you know,
Something
maybe we
to
could just
embellish.
work with them, and then Pineapple's role would not be to put a conference together, but it would be to promote that we've got a conference.
Well, and that leads into my second question I had asked, if there was any stomach in revisiting Genesis to see if we could buy out that lease down there. Did you have a chance to talk to them, Chief, about that?
No, I didn't.
Do you want to?
No, I don't.
I knew that.
That
was
got
gonna
to
be
the crux of the
answer.
matter.
All right, well, I think that that anything that we can do to partner down with Buckeye and maybe provide them with some funding in order for them to help their efforts. And especially, the sad thing is when you do an event like that and you don't get any marketing on it and they don't get any people down there. I think if we can combine and use the marketing talent and skills here to help them with their expertise down there,
Yeah.
it would be a win-win. I would suggest, they already have one event going on. You know, you spend as much time doing one event as you do for a series. And, you know, they might just need some guidance on that and maybe look towards Grandfather, look towards Roan Mountain.
Yeah, because there's 3 beautiful, unique ecosystems.
Cindy, do you want to take up a helping out on that and getting that project?
In terms of talking to Genesis or talking to,
Not talking to Genesis.
talking to rec department about,
Talking with Kate and picking Kate's brain and figuring out just maybe some concepts.
Let's look.
yeah, and I think that ought to be a next spring sort of goal. I don't think we can pull it off this
No, I don't
fast,
think
but.
so.
Yeah.
But let's
Start
take
having-
a
Because I really
look.
want, as soon as the weather breaks, to get down there and tromp around Buckeye and see if there's a bark park possibility down there.
Let's take a look at what the rec department is offering down there and see if there's any
Weather
kind of
breaks
assistance we
July
can offer
2nd.
them
Okay.
in terms of, you know, helping them with any of their marketing.
Because I know it's gonna rain on the 4th.
Yeah, that's right.
Calder, do you have any comments?
No, we're on a roll.
Mandy, do you have any comments? Okay. Kate?
I think I'm stealing somebody's pen.
I think that was mine, but
This one?
that's okay. Chief, anything?
I'm good.
All right,
Thank you.
motion to close?
We can ask Armando.
Oh, sorry, Armando.
He didn't have anything.
Motion to close the meeting?
Armando's just smart. He knows if he brings it up, they'll say, go ahead and do it, Armando.
I think Calder firsted it. I think you seconded it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Sandy.
All right, which one of these is yours, Cindy? I've got a,
Bob, thanks.
Mine's got that one.
this one?
That one's mine. Here's this back.